Pokémon Legends Arceus has been out for 2 months now, and I figured it'd be as good a time as any to talk about what the game got right and what it got wrong, now that I've had some time to let it all settle in and digest. So here's a quick list of ups and downs of Pokémon Legends Arceus. The new catching mechanics are simply amazing. Being able to run up to a Pokemon, aim, and throw a Pokeball feels so natural and is a long overdue mechanic. I also like the added ability to use throwables to distract and weaken Pokemon before I catch them. All that while still keeping the ability to battle and catch Pokemon is always useful. If I ever want to play with my own self-imposed rules for a Nuzlocke, I can use it to increase the challenge of the playthrough by risking my own Pokemon in order to catch a new one. The new types of balls made to flesh out the system were great as well. The flying balls to catch Pokemon from further away, and the heavy balls to catch a Pokemon up close are great alternatives to the basic Pokeballs, Great Balls, and Ultra Balls from before. Now I know the odds of finding a shiny hasn't necessarily gone up, but the new way of seeing so many Pokemon in the overworld, thus increasing your chances of finding and using shinies in your playthrough, is awesome. I found just a couple shinies in past games, but the fact that I was able to find a shiny Geodude so early in the game and was able to use it for most of the playthrough was so much fun. I haven't specifically gone out to shiny hunt yet, but seeing people online find so many shinies in such a short amount of time gives me hope I'll be able to find and use shinies in my playthrough in the future if they keep these mechanics. Alpha Pokemon are so dope for an open world Pokemon game. They're great examples of mini bosses that you can fight and catch out in the open world. And if you're good enough in the early game to catch one, you have a super powerful Pokemon right there to use moving forward that doesn't feel cheap. Later on in the game they get significantly easier to catch, but that's not a problem in my eyes, as at that point it feels like a natural progression of your skills and abilities in the game. A small feature that I really enjoy and hope they keep in upcoming games is being able to freely move around in battles. The main reason is because as soon as you know the battle is done, you can start running wherever you want without waiting for the game to load out of the battle scene. It's a small quality of life mechanic that feels so good in practice. The locations and scenery in this game makes the world feel so much bigger and pleasant to run in. From bogs to beaches to forests, every location looks amazing and leads to the sense of adventure that you want in open world-ish games. Admittedly, Game Freak is a bit lazy with it and they can and should put more effort into the graphics. I'm still gonna give it a thumbs up. I talked earlier how Alpha Pokemon were cool mini bosses out in the open world, and the Noble Pokemon feel like popular bosses in the playthrough. The Sun and Moon series had Totem Pokemon that were very similar, but I actually really like the added challenge of trying to weaken it before entering a traditional Pokemon battle. They need to work on the fluidity of the movement mechanics a bit, but overall it's an up. This is something pretty small, but definitely my favorite side mission in the game comes after you beat the main story, and it's the battle with the guard. It was just a nice touch, and I find it hilarious that his team of Bidoof, Shinx, and Starly were all level 62. And the fact that his Shinx destroyed my Palkia is honestly one of my favorite moments in the entire game. Time distortions are a really cool mechanic. I'm not sure how they would be able to implement a similar mechanic into future games since it's so tied to the main story of this particular game, but a timed event where you can find rare Pokemon and items was really fun and interesting. I hope they're able to figure out some way to add them into future games because I really enjoyed them. I do really enjoy the fact that your Pokemon will interact with each other if you send them all out, and I hope that they can expand on it in the future. Admittedly, there's not a lot to say about this, but I'll give it an up. The trend of giving Pokemon regional forms in each new game has been a great addition to the series, and I really hope they keep doing it. I know it's been happening for years now, but I still want to mention it here because the specific new forms are all really good, and Hisuian Arcanine in particular is dope as hell. Man, the action order just doesn't make sense to me. I read online that people are talking about how it's affected by the speed stat, but it still just does not make sense to me. The enemy always seems to attack 2 or 3 times in a row without using agile style, and without me using strong style, so I just don't get it. Towards the end, I thought I was understanding it better, but I just couldn't. I really hope they don't bring this back again in another game. Definitely thumbs down. Probably one of the worst things in the game is how there's no satchel space at all. I was constantly full of items and couldn't carry it all. The worst part is that in order to upgrade the satchel space, you need to pay an arm and a leg to get it. It's probably the single most expensive mechanic in the game and it sucks. Dude, Game Freak, you have to work on giving characters more personality and voice acting because the facial expressions are both dumb and unnecessary. And the lack of effort during the cutscene animations is just as bad. They really put no effort into it because they know that everybody's gonna buy the games anyway. And now onto the graphics. They're really similar to the past 2 entries because they're really bad as well. Game Freak should have every resource available to them, and they really need to put that work into this game. I'm not saying they need to be lifelike or anything like that, but for whatever graphic style you're going for, you really need to polish them up and optimize them for the game system that they're running on. And like I said earlier, the sceneries around the game are really beautiful, but every once in a while I have to stop and look at what's going on the screen because it looks so weird. Also, what is with these weird outlines in the water? They're around the character models and they look particularly bad on the Pokeballs. I don't know what's going on here. And for what it's worth, the Pokemon animations, graphics, and fighting animations look really good. So I'll give them a thumbs up for that. One of the biggest misses in the game is the lack of management options in the pasture system. In past games there didn't really need to be many management options for the boxes because you didn't necessarily catch so many Pokemon all at once. But in this game you're constantly catching so many Pokemon, so they really should have added some quick sorting options. Like arranging them in alphabetical order, Pokédex number, Pokemon type, or literally anything. They really needed to add a favorite option like the items in the satchel. There's no quick way to mark your favorite Pokemon other than the tedious marking system they have now, but it's not really useful. One thing I don't understand nowadays is how they're able to get following Pokemon so perfect back in Let's Go and have failed to do it in any of the subsequent games. And in this game it's just missing entirely. It's such a beloved feature and they can't seem to get it right anymore. It's really unfortunate because it's one of the beloved things that every fan loves in these games. This is probably just a small thing at the end of the day, but I felt like I was missing so many moves throughout the entire playthrough. I know right now I'm showing you like 90 accuracy moves, but I feel like even moves that are 100 accuracy feel like they were missing so much. Did anybody else notice this, or is this just something that was happening to me throughout my entire playthrough and I was just getting so unlucky? But either way, I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. I know they were trying to raise the stakes at the end of the game to make it more exciting, but man, they really should have written it better. Why were Adamant and Irida at each other's throats when they spent the whole game improving relations, just to be friends again right after? Also, Kamado is a dumbass. Like, come on, you're really gonna banish me for no reason? I know you're not that dumb, it's just bad writing. Man, the dialogue in this game is so bad. First of all, it's just too much talking and not a lot actually being said. They say the same sentences over and over just in different ways. Secondly, they just bother you non-stop with unnecessary dialogue scenes that serve no purpose. Like, why do we need to have this scene eating the potato mochi after every mission? In particular, during the lake missions, there is no need to keep talking each time we start a mission and when we get to the lake. They're all set up the same way, we don't need to have the dialogue each time. I will say there were some funny moments throughout the game that made me laugh, but overall it's a thumbs down. So to finish up and gather my thoughts on this game, for all of its flaws, this is exactly the Pokemon game fans have wanted for years. It was long past due, but now that we're here, I had so much fun playing through the game and still play every day. And I can't wait to see what they'll do in Scarlet and Violet to build upon the formula of Pokémon Legends Arceus.